The study revealed that the majority of respondents had not been exposed to public education campaigns. To your mind, is that a failure that is now being corrected by the BGLC with this study, and perhaps what will flow from the findings here?
I wouldn't say it's a failure, but certainly we have recognized the need for more communication to be out there.
Is it accurate or safe to say that we don't have a crisis situation in Jamaica, albeit the concerns about particular age groups, especially with the problem gamblers? Mr. Evans?
Certainly we do not want it to get to crisis level. I mean, you heard that.
So we don't have a crisis
We don't have
situation.
a crisis right now, but I mean, we certainly are concerned now in terms of the prevalence that the study identified. And as you heard, in all the jurisdiction, I mean, problem gambling in terms of gamblers is about 2%. I would want to bring it as low as we can in our own jurisdiction.
Yes. You concur?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the rates, even from continent to continent, there are rates as high as 6.4 in terms of problem gambling. So, I mean, we're edging up there, but I don't think we're in crisis mode yet. You know, as long as we implement the programs that we need to implement. No, the truth is there are a lot of jurisdictions that don't do any studies. And so they have no idea, they have gambling, but they have no idea what their rates are. And so it's going to probably be shocking for them when they actually do it. We have an opportunity now to be able to manage what it is that we're doing.
Thank you. Mr. Evans, the study revealed that the majority of respondents had not been exposed to public education campaigns. To your mind, is that a failure that is now being corrected by the BGLC with this study, and perhaps what will flow from the findings here?
I wouldn't say it's a failure, but certainly we have recognized the need for more communication to be out there. And as you can see in terms of even this study that we've commissioned, it is with the aim to ensure that we address those issues and there's greater communication. And as I said in my opening remarks, that's an area that we are actually concerned about and we're targeting, and there'll be more information.
So if you could outline, for example, 3 steps that are going to flow from this, from the findings, what are those next major steps that the BGLC will undertake?
The major steps we're likely to undertake are, one, as you heard from Richard, in terms of the additional work that we're going to promote with Rise in management. We are looking to actually have, and as I said, we will now look to work with our stakeholders in ensuring that there's greater communication going out there in terms of responsible gaming coming out from the report. We're also going to actually heighten our own communication network in terms of some of the signs we want out there. If not came on a spark, we're just about to embark on some expenditure where on the tote board they have there that will actually have our responsible gaming messages coming out. And then we are hoping that even throughout most of the gaming establishment, there will be more communication and certainly more visuals about our problem gambling strategy in terms of what we want to put out there, responsible gaming strategy.
So the aspect with RISE is what, the more preventative approach. That is where you're leveraging their access to schools in that way.
Exactly. Well, I mean, because our approach is slightly different from most jurisdictions in that most jurisdictions, most probably it will be the regulator themselves that do most of the responsible gaming work. We have actually chosen to partner with RISE, something we've done over time, and it's been very successful in that. Although they're an independent, non-governmental organization, but the fact that they were already dealing with drug addiction and alcohol addiction, we felt that working with them for gambling, or responsible gaming strategy would certainly work, and that has worked for us. So I mean, we are working both in terms of intervention, and as I said, our first pillar from this report was to actually ensure that we're armed with the information, that we know what's happening, we know the attitude, and we know what's happening. From that, we hope that we actually build on both the prevention side as well as the treatment side of the treatment county, because we are actually financing the full program with RISE.
Despite having low population prevalence of ever having gambled or current gambling, we used a Canadian problem gambling index to measure problem gambling. It's a global measure, a tool that's been tested, been updated, and can be used to compare across jurisdictions. So we found that despite having low overall prevalence, we had comparatively higher prevalence of problem gambling. Just going through some of the numbers, so 62.5% of the population has admitted to having played games of chance, having gambled at least once in their lifetime. 34% have played in the past 12 months, and so those are your current gamblers, and it's from that population that you get your problem gamblers. 27% have played in the past 3 months, and 12.8% were either problem or moderate risk gamblers. And in those cases, problem gamblers are those who have experienced negative consequences and a possible loss of control. And when we get to that section, I can give you some of those statements that are actually used. And moderate risk gamblers mean those who are showing some level of problem. So it's not just I'm playing, but it's leading to negative consequences on my finance, on my health, on my relationships, and it's showing some loss of control. I keep going back to win, that sort of thing. It does mean though, if 12.8% are problem or moderate risk, most people who are playing are okay. And if we move from the population, as in everybody, to just look at those who are current players, what do those numbers look like? So among current players, which is those who have played in our past 12 months, it was 37% of current players playing in the past 12 months who were moderate risk or problem gamblers. Specifically, 15% of current players emerged as problem gamblers, 22% were moderate risk gamblers. Most were non-problem or low level. So you had 18% who were low level problem gamblers, had no problems really, and 44.6% who had no problem gambling. They were playing but had no problems. But you do have this 37% that are moderate or at-risk problem gamblers. We said men were more likely to be problem gamblers than women, and we said before, we speak to now the age differences. So remember, our 18 to 24 was where our prevalence of gambling was lowest in our population. However, that is where the problem gambling prevalence is actually high, significantly higher. So while 18 to 24 were less likely to be playing overall from a population perspective, it was 24% of the 18 to 24-year-olds who are current players who were problem gamblers. So of those 18 to 24 who were playing the past 12 months, 24% are problem gamblers. And you compare that to 18% of those 25 to 29 who are problem gamblers, or 15% of those 30 to 39 who are problem gamblers, or as low as 8% of those who are 50 to 59 who are problem gamblers. So your 18 to 24 are less likely to be playing, but more likely to be problem gamblers. And that does have implications for intervention, as well as for their future and the need for intervention. What does that translate to in numbers? It means if you extrapolate that out to the population, just over 1 million Jamaicans, adult Jamaicans, have played games of money at least once in their life. It means 549,000 have played in the past 12 months, and it means 206,000 are moderate risk or problem gamblers currently. Coming out of that, our suggestion for the way forward, because also this is in the context of we don't have responsible gaming messages as a population level, as a public relations level. So this is not a mature market. It is a market though that is ripe for intervention and promotion of responsible gaming. So implement a public education campaign to raise awareness and educate the general population on responsible gaming, because people are able to do so. Provide appropriate intervention for problem gamblers. Design programs which address both non-problem gamblers and problem gamblers to minimize the likelihood of those who are currently not having problems transitioning to problem gamblers. Continue to monitor the population and observe changes and respond accordingly, and conduct a follow-up survey to this baseline within the next 2 years, or at least at regular intervals.